Welcome back to another episode of DIJAH's Cafe, where we keep it real, relevant, and rooted in purpose. Good evening, hello, and welcome to DIJAH's Cafe. I am your host, Khadijah Stewart, and I am so excited today to welcome you. But first, I want you to understand that you are here today in DIJAH's Cafe. Get your drink. Get your notepad, sit back and relax, because today, as always, we are going to talk about issues that are real and rooted in purpose. Tonight, I have a treat, guys. My world, as you know, is a homeschool world, right? I have 8 kids and I've homeschooled them all. And my life, really, for the past 20 years, has been built around that. And I talk about on all of my platforms. Tonight, I have Vernon Speller, the second half of Embrace Your Free. He and Sakile are home. They're world schoolers. So I have the beautiful opportunity tonight to introduce him. I'm going to do that in a second formally, and then he'll introduce himself. But we're going to get into some things about world schooling, right? Homeschooling is a hot topic right now, but let's talk about world schooling, which is another whole avenue of things. So I want to introduce Sakila and Vernon, the married for 25-year duo behind Embrace Your Free. They're parents of 6, permanent residents of Mexico, and world travelers currently living in Maya Riviera. For over 20 years, they've been homeschooling and world schooling their family, helping thousands of families do the same through the world class schooling coaching program. Sakile is an author, speaker, and host of the Learning Outside the Box podcast. Make sure you put Sakile when you Google that. While Vernon is a business coach, speaker, and investor who helps homeschool entrepreneurs and small businesses find clients and build sustainable income. Together, they help families rethink education, income, and lifestyle, proving that learning, earning, and living can happen together from anywhere in the world. Vernon, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here this evening. You're on mute.
There we go. All right. I was muted out. Thank you very much, Khadijah. It's an honor and a blessing to be here. Thank you very much for having me. As you mentioned, me and Sakile are behind Embrace Your Free, the company. Homeschoolers. Our oldest child is 22. We've been homeschooling him his whole life. And we have 6 total, 4 boys, 2 girls. Yeah, we're experienced homeschoolers, got into world schooling, like as you mentioned, and in using the world as our classroom. Started part-time back in 2008 and have expanded that. As you mentioned, we've expanded that into international, where we are gearing up to travel and include the educational experiences of traveling the world internationally with our children. For the beginning of our world schooling adventure, we were in the United States. And then we got international in 2020 with right as COVID was coming. It's kind of interesting. But right as that was coming, we were planning to do our international travel, and Mexico has been our one of our main locations, as you mentioned. So we're back and forth between Mexico and Houston, Texas,
Okay.
and Chicago. We're originally from Chicago, moved down to Houston about 8 years ago. So we're kind of back and forth. And business owner myself, business owner about 20 years. Me and Sakila both working in business and building together. Embrace Your Free since about 2017, and have been coaching business owners, as you mentioned, small business owners, since 2017. Actually, 2017, I began coaching from going from traditional business, running my own business since 2004. 2017, I started coaching small business owners. Me and a business partner of mine, we incorporated that into Embrace Your Free in 2019 and started working with our business owners there. So I'm excited to be here, excited to share the world schooling journeys and business experiences as well.
Welcome. I'm so glad to have you. As I told everybody, I'm a homeschooler. It just is what it is, right? I now direct and help other people homeschool their children because my youngest is, I think, 14. So I have one left that I'm homeschooling. Everyone else is kind of gone on. And they're helping run some of the programs. But the reason why you were so unique for me is because everybody talks about mom's homeschooling. There's a million and one social media platforms about mom's homeschooling, right? But I wanted to get the dad's perspective, right? Because, like you said, you all are doing a business. And I say doing a business because, as we all know, running a business is one thing, doing a business involves a lot more, especially when homeschooling. So, if you can, let's talk a little bit about when you and Sakile, my tongue
Yes.
tied, um, started and decided to homeschool? Was this before the children were born, after they were born? Like, what was that aha moment of, we're going to do this homeschooling thing?
That's a great question. So timing wise, when did we decide to do that? Great question. So me and Sakile operate, and we teach our parents to operate like this, and we teach our work with our business owners operating like this too. We operate from the beginning of our relationship very intentionally and
Mhm.
very strategically into things that we do in terms of our marriage. We begin that way in our marriage in terms of we really fleshed out how we wanted what we wanted our marriage to look like
Mhm.
even before we or as we were getting married before we officially were married. We really looked at that as far as what we want to do as far as children go. How many children do we want? What kind of experiences do we want them to have? We looked at each other's families. Both of us come from very um, what would you call it, more traditional kind of families.
Mhm.
So we really approached it from that standpoint. So we looked at marriage like that, looked at our children like that. So when it came to homeschooling, to your question, we had discussed, okay, what do we want to do with our children? What kind of educations do we want them to have? Um, what is the purpose of the education itself? Are
Mhm.
they just going for, the standard, get good grades, going to college, going to, what exactly are we doing? My path was entrepreneurship. Had chosen entrepreneurship in high school. My grandfather actually told my father told me that he wanted one of us. I have 13 brothers and sisters, so I have a large family, but they wanted one of us at least one of us, to start a family business. Um, and me and one of my other brothers have really taken that, have really grasped under that, and we're both building businesses. So I knew early on the path that I wanted to go down. I didn't know exactly how it was going to go. It went a lot different than I
Mhm.
thought, but I knew I wanted to do that. So I wanted to pass that on to my children. I wanted to be a family business. So Keeley actually had a similar mindset, so that was perfect.
Mhm.
So we were able to incorporate that and incorporate in our homeschooling. We know that we wanted to incorporate entrepreneurship and wanted them to learn about that. So before we actually had children, to your question, we discussed that and talked about we also wanted to be Afrocentric.
Mhm.
Um, my father's an African history professor.
Okay.
Um, and coming from Chicago, we're very involved in the Afrocentric community. The Nation of Islam is very strong. Have ties into that as well. Um, and then just other things as well. It's in terms of experience and the Chicago experience and being Afrocentric and the Black community. So we knew we wanted that experience as well, and that those principles and values within our children and our children to experience it, not just with us and me saying it, but also in the school experience as well. Having gone through the Chicago public school system, that is very not Afrocentric. And that's not a Trump thing. That's not new. This is
No.
back when I was in, school back in the day. It was not Afrocentric then either. So we
Mhm.
knew that we didn't want them to go through that in the way that we did. And Sakila had a similar experience going through. She actually went through public school and private school, so she has a very unique experience. She can tell us more about that. But so yeah, so it was before
Okay.
we had children. We talked this out and planned on, and those are some of the main things: entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
Afrocentric experience, but also us being with our children as opposed to strangers,
Mhm.
and not to be negative, but not just strangers, but strangers who may not have your children's best interests at heart. Was something that we also are very uh,
Mhm.
intentional about, and
And
meaning that we wanted to
what?
be around us.
Mhm.
We did find a great experience. Later on, we can talk about this later if you want to. But we found a great charter school that actually fit that bill of what we were looking for. So our children actually did that. I was in grad school. Sakila was in grad school. So actually did a couple of years at a really phenomenal charter school, the Betty Shabazz International Charter School.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm.
Phenomenal. Yeah. So I'm sorry, Barbara Sizemore. So Betty Shabazz is one of the schools that our children attended, but it's a high school and two elementary schools,
Okay.
and the full system is called Barbara Sizemore International
Okay.
Charter School, BSICS. Barbara Sizemore International Charter Schools. School my children went to was Betty Shabazz,
Okay.
after Sister Betty Shabazz, of course.
Right. Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
homeschooling just seemed natural for you guys, basically.
logical. I would say logical, not natural, because
Oh.
we were both raised in traditional schools.
When I
You know,
say natural, I meant the way your lives were going because you're very
yeah.
You're very
Yes,
intentional folks. And I follow you guys. I follow you guys on the social media platforms. And I watch Sakile and the way she teaches. And, you're both very intentional. Like you all don't do things just to do them. You're not that kind
true.
of couple at all.
Absolutely.
So when I said it felt natural, um, and I think you can get into this a little deeper for me,
Mhm.
talk to it a little bit because as professionals and entrepreneurs, we're on our pathway, right? We're doing what we do.
Yeah.
Because we're entrepreneurs, we usually follow what naturally happens, right? So tell me why you chose to say, what was it, logical versus natural?
Okay.
Go
Okay.
back around to the natural for me if you can.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I understand. Okay, I was thinking about it in a little bit of a different terms, but absolutely, I understand exactly what you mean. Yeah. So yeah, in that sense, in the sense that you said there, yeah, it was natural in terms of what we were doing and how we were coming together as a couple and the things that we wanted. Our principles, absolutely. So I was just kind of had a little bit of a different definition on there
Talk
in
to me.
terms of so what I meant. So what I noticed, like me and you, the way we clicked, the way a lot of other individuals who are similar minded, the way we click, it's kind of like to your point, it's a natural progression
Hmm.
of if you're in the homeschooling, you're probably careful about what you eat. If you're careful about what you eat, you're probably careful about what medicines you use. If you're careful about what medicines you use, you're probably careful about what you put in your skin and what you put in your hair. You know? If you're
Hmm.
careful about all that, you're probably thinking a little bit more Afrocentrically because you kind of think like, okay, what do I actually want to do? What's good for my mind? So what's good for my community? What's good for my family? So it's to your point, it's a natural progression, like
Hmm.
homeschool. I'm
Right,
doing homeschool.
right, right.
And you're absolutely right. It was like, well, how do we want to educate our children? What's going to be best? We looked at Montessori schools,
Hmm.
private schools, different religious type of situations. Like we talked about, we got connections to the Nation of Islam, so we looked at Muhammad University in Chicago. My sister actually is in the Nation of Islam, and her son actually attended there. Sharp young man, excellent. So they do a phenomenal job. Don't want to no shade on anyone at all, but
Hmm.
and there's several other excellent schools. The Freedom Schools are awesome set up.
Hmm.
Like I just mentioned, Betty, Barbara Sizemore, International
Hmm.
Charter Schools, phenomenal. And there's several other ones that are phenomenal. So we were just looking, and we're like, okay, the best for us would be homeschooling, especially with the lifestyle. Because we were also thinking, as you mentioned, I think we were talking a minute ago, and you're talking about planning and like to think further ahead. We're similar. So we're thinking like in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what's going to be going on? Where do we want to how do we want to be living? And we knew we wanted to travel.
Hmm.
Sakila, I know I both, to talk of kind of tying into world schooling, we both have the travel bug and not just a travel bug, but just like a real curiosity, not just to
Hmm.
travel and go to a resort and come back home, but to actually
Hmm.
dive into culture, really get
Right.
immersed into the culture, the foods, the people,
Hmm.
learn. My father was a history professor, so I got a little bit of a history bug from him. So I love going to different areas and learning about the history. So we knew that, and we're like, okay, what can allow us to do this?
Hmm.
And homeschooling. Homeschooling was a thing, and then world schooling. We didn't really know the term world schooling, but we knew that, we wanted to incorporate
Hmm.
our environment, which is what world schooling is incorporating your environment. Not necessarily, you don't have to be an expat and never come back to the United States. You can be you can still be in Chicago like we started
Right.
and start incorporating your community, maybe on the weekends, field trips, maybe do a little bit of traveling here or there. That's how we started. We started very, very part-time,
I
you know.
love it. I love it. So then it went to business. So now it then became world school and business, right? And
Yeah,
it's interesting, you and Sekile really, I love you too because you're a partnership,
yes.
right? Like you posted a video how you were playing basketball with the fellas, like with your boys out there, right? She's always showing how to do different things with homeschooling with the children, right? So it's not this typical mom's homeschooling, dad's at work, right? Dad's not in his office being an entrepreneur or going out doing meetings, and he's not involved in the homeschooling. Talk to me a little bit about that. Was there ever? Let me just tell you, I'm going to wait till we're going to have her, I think, pop in later. So I want to try to
Yeah.
say the juicy stuff till she comes in. Um, but talk to me a little bit about that as a dad, right? Because moms, we're nurturers, right? We naturally are going to teach our children, right? And we're going to do that all day long with every conversation we have with them, right? But as a dad, dads kind of pop in and out sometimes with the
Yeah.
homeschooling piece. How was that for you?
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent point. Very good question. You say you saw that video. The boys had me sweating out there. I don't know if you could tell, but I was working me out, Khadijah.
Hey, we get older.
Oh man, I got him off with age and treachery, but with wisdom, what's it, wisdom and treachery, I got the win, but boy, had me working.
Right, right,
I
right,
think I
right.
can maybe get one or two more games before
Ah, you
I'm
got it. Practice a little
I'm
bit. You
not
got
gonna play with them
it.
no more. But to make an excuse,
Right, right, right. You can.
but
We can now at this age. We
you
can.
know, you know,
I
oh
know.
man. But it was a good time. It was a great experience. But great
Yeah.
question though about fatherhood and
Mhm,
homeschooling. And you're right. It's very you'll see the mothers in the forefront of homeschooling.
mhm,
On our Facebook page, it's probably 80, 90%, probably 90% mothers, but there are the fathers here and there, thankfully. And then you'll see fathers involved to various degrees. Kind of to
mhm,
your point, they may be either at work or, typically they're at work or they're working on a business. And so they'll have various types of roles. For
mhm,
me, it plays out where when we first were homeschooling, I was actually a practitioner. And well, I started out actually, I was still in corporate America when we first started having children. I was in corporate America. So I was kind of doing the 9 to 5 thing and, involved when I could. I ended up getting a great position in a community library,
mhm.
and that was phenomenal because Sakila could bring Kamari and then the girls, our girl, like we have twin girls. So we had three toddlers like back to back to back, So
Oh, I get it.
she could
Yes.
bring the crew to the library. It was a small library. The staff loved them, and I
Hmm.
had a good position where we were involved in events. I was kind of the event organizer.
Oh.
So we'd have like baby events and children's events, and they would be involved in that. So that was a phenomenal situation. So I got away from kind of the standard corporate where I
Hmm.
started out after university. I got away from that, which is not very family friendly, and I started doing more family friendly things. That was one thing.
Oh.
Started getting more family friendly where I could, like I said, on that in that library job, they could actually come and be there and just come and hang out in the library while I'm working. They can come. Sekile will bring them some,
Awesome.
you know. So that was phenomenal. As we got into business more, it became even more flexible.
Hmm.
But we can talk about this in a minute. But in the early stages of business and then transitioning from an employee to a business owner, that
Hmm.
got rough. That got a little rough. So I had less time to spend with the children, but I did my best to really make time and put them in the
Hmm.
schedule and be really intentional about that. That's one of the things we can talk about that in a minute if you want to get more into that. But that was a key thing as well, being intentional with my schedule.
Hmm.
So how it plays out as far as homeschooling and fatherhood for me is me and Sakila coordinated in terms of the planning. Like we talked about, we were very intentional. But Sakila, especially in the early years, she was the on, day to day, on site, operations for homeschool,
Hmm.
you know, and I would come in and maybe on the weekend or particularly when I started doing business, I could, orchestrate my schedule for periods throughout the day, maybe go to events with them, go to different things with them, meet them places. If I had a client here or there or a meeting here or there, I could, kind of fit it into my business schedule. Like I had a lot more flexibility as a business owner. So I
Hmm.
would do things like that. I would do specific lectures. Like my thing is history. I love history. I love science. I have a science background too. I studied natural medicine. After being at the library, I ended up studying natural medicine and practicing for almost 10 years. So science, history, those are my those are my
Hmm.
jams. And then I love language arts too. I love writing and
Okay.
words. So specific things like that, I would come in and share and
Hmm.
do maybe a lecture or work with the children on some specific things. So that we would incorporate that way
Hmm.
in as we could, as we were able, jobs permitting, business permitting,
Hmm.
we would make it work. Then I like to add this thing in there too. This is a major role of most fathers, I think, disciplinarian. So so coming in and restoring order if things get a little out of hand, come in and restore order, or assist in restoring order,
Oh,
or
yes.
sometimes the kilo would be like a little extra. Sometimes we need a little additional reinforcement of the
My
of order.
famous line was, "Don't worry, I'll just tell your father." It worked.
Exactly,
It
exactly,
worked.
exactly. So some of that,
Hmm. Hmm. Good, good.
you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, so that was a part of it. Anything else? And then
I like the fact that you were talking about how you all transitioned together, but I understand now, science background, history background, intentional people coming
Yeah,
together to form a family. It was just a natural progression for you anyway.
yeah,
I want to talk a little bit now about homeschoolers that go into business because you're a coach for homeschoolers, right? That become business owners.
yes,
What is the one thing that you think they fear the most, right? Because normally, if somebody is in business, they either are in business already and transfer to homeschooling because it helps the business situation, or they're homeschooling and realize I need to make some money and
yeah.
then start a business. What's that fear that you deal with those folks that are doing that, making that transition? Because they all have a fear of some sort, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it shows up, from my experience, it shows up a little differently from the mothers to the fathers.
Hmm.
Similar root or similar kind of basic concept in terms of concern about the family and wanting the best for the family. That's the root of what they're dealing with, but it'll express itself a little differently.
Hmm.
Excuse me. So a lot of times how it'll express in the father, and in terms of our working with our parents as far as business, them as business owners or professionals, and then being homeschoolers, world schoolers, and thinking about how to do that. The husband will be concerned about stability, and he may not say it directly, but what he's really concerned about is being able to sustain the family, keep doing the
Hmm.
things they want to do, and he wants to be able to take care of the family on the level that he wants to be able to do it on.
Hmm.
And how will world schooling affect that? How will her homeschooling affect that? Is he going to be able to do what he needs to do? And then the children, are the children going to, this is the fathers will be concerned about this, will the children be able to make a living? When homeschooling going to put them on a track to be able to get they're concerned about, whether it's a job they're concerned about, or sometimes they're even thinking business minded, but oftentimes, people are thinking about a job sense. So can they
Hmm.
get into a good college? Can they get into a good career? Are they going to be prepared for a
Hmm.
life? Are they going to be solid individuals and be able to interact? One of the big concerns about new homeschoolers is socialization. That's the word we hear so
Don't
often,
understand
which is
it.
fascinating. If you really break that down, it's really um, it's not. I was going to say something a little bit harsher, but it's not a really. If you really break it down, it really eases your fears. And we can get into that if you want to, but yeah, but that's one of the things they'll be concerned about big time is
Mhm.
socialization and preparedness for a career,
School.
life, extended life, being able to make a
Mhm.
good living, making good income, is a big
Right.
fear for fathers.
Right. And I want to say that, and I can say it because I actually was in a couple of your consultation sessions. I did it purposely because I knew I wanted to eventually talk to you about it, right? So I
Yeah.
want to be able to have some experience and be able to speak to it. And
Mhm.
I'll be honest, you're coaching, and that's why I asked you about fathers because I'm wondering, you're coaching, it soothes, right? It's a soothing level that you have in bringing clarity to your clients and what they're trying to grow in their businesses. Is that intentional? Or is it literally because you see something in these folks and you feel like you need to give that part of it?
You know what? That's a great question. Really good question. So there is an intentionality to it. There is an intentional aspect to it because as a business owner, as entrepreneurs, there's a level of anxiety, especially in the beginning. There's a level of anxiety, whether it's subconscious or whether they're conscious of it, and a lot of times it's a little bit of both. So they're consciously worried about making the income or whatever, but then there's also a kind of an underlying anxiousness sometimes to business owners, especially new business owners. So yeah, I want to give them a level of confidence, like you said, soothing, a little bit level of soothe their emotions, so that they can receive the information that they need to receive that will actually help them. Because we can get on kind of a self-defeating cycle of where we're concerned about making income, but if we don't get our emotions under control and our mind, our thoughts under control, we actually can self-sabotage or not do the things that will actually help us to be more confident and more, generate the income that we want to generate that's going to cover the bills that we're worried about. we can create the environment, the very environment that is going to stop us can be self-created if we're not, if we don't have, if we have that anxiety gets the best of us, our thoughts get the best of us, the emotion, whatever, whether it's emotions or thoughts, either one.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's that soothing, that confidence is very necessary and can be very difficult. Like I said, if you're worried about, certain things that can creep into and affect your thought process, the actions that you take or don't take. So yeah, it's very important.
It is, it is. And you do it effectively. You really, really do. That's
Good.
why, I
Thank you.
refer some of my clients to you for it. No, seriously, because especially as a homeschooler, a lot of times, if you're a new homeschooler, right? They already have those fears. Oh my gosh, I had actually a homeschooler say this to me. I was afraid that the man was going to come in and do something because I wasn't doing it right. It's like, wow, right? And then you think about, okay, now I have to earn an income on my own on
Yeah,
top of that. So, can you say something to new homeschoolers and business owners that are going through all of those fears, right? And we know they're having those fears because we've had them ourselves,
that's
right?
it.
We've been
Yeah,
there. And then you have that moment when business isn't going too well and now income is falling down, right? What do we do? What do you do as a business owner, right? You're
great point.
homeschooling, so you're like, and your family's with you the majority of the time because you're homeschooling and you're doing things together,
Yeah.
right? So you don't get to leave your situation. You don't get to go to work and come back home, right?
No, no.
Right. What would you say to someone that's dealing with that and trying to
So
stay focused on staying homeschooling and business?
yeah, absolutely. Great question. Another, once again, great question, Khadijah. And so comes to mind is the old saying, I think it's maybe a Chinese proverb, but it's when is the best time to plant a tree? And it's 20 years ago. When's the next best time to plant a tree? Is today.
Mm,
That comes to mind. So what I mean by that is, so as a business owner, what do you want to do in that situation is plan ahead of time. What do I mean by that? So what you want to do is be very intentional, get into the intentionality thing. Be very intentional about what kind of business, what kind of income you need, what's your style in terms of operating, when are you most effective, what are you most effective at? All those things need to be taken into consideration. And then you don't need to, it's not a zero-sum game. You don't you don't need to be a business owner and just forsake everything else and leave your job and burn all your bridges. You don't need to do that. You can start small with your business. You can have a job and do business. I've done that. You can have a job and do business because what you want to do, the key is cash flow. Whether you're professional, blue collar, white collar, uh,
mhm,
starting a brick and mortar business, whatever you're doing, you're, a freelancer, gig economy as they call it now, whatever you're doing, you want to be general and just on a practical brass tacks sense, do really be real with yourself. And
mhm.
again, keep an open mind and do what's going to generate cash flow.
So
Humble, if you need to humble yourself, and and keep the bigger picture in mind. It's not the immediate, oh, I'm doing something I don't really want to do. If that's what you need to do to put food on the table and to even fund your business, that's another aspect of it. You can use your job to fund your business in the beginning. Do that because the bigger picture is what you're after, especially when you're talking about being as a father, husband,
Mhm,
homeschooler, world schooler. If you're doing all that, you get some sort of a larger vision. So in the short term, do what's necessary. So that in the long term, you can do what you want to do and you can live the life that you want to live, is what I strongly encourage my business owners to do. And not have a zero-sum mindset of I'm burning all my bridges, burning all my ships. That's not necessary. There's a percentage of the population that responds very well to that type of environment. You put their back against the wall, they're gonna come out like gangbusters and they just explode. But that's not most people. That's like maybe 10% of the population.
mhm,
And so I would encourage people to, unless you have a track record of doing that. Now, if you're a business owner and you know how to make money and you've been doing this since whenever, 5, 10, 20, 30 years, and you do this and you make 10, 20, $30,000 and you know you can do that, hey, rock and roll. But if you're transitioning like I was from being a corporate person, employee, and you're getting into business, don't do that to yourself. It's not necessary. Do your job, start your business part-time or start things and start slowly. If you want to do world schooling, do some world schooling on the weekend, maybe a field trip here or there, take a time off and work your way up to it. Build your business up gradually, keep the cash flow coming, you know, and keep those bills paid, fund your business and build it. I'll end with this. I think Gates oh, Billy Gates said this one. This is actually something good that he said. He said that people tend to, or we tend to overestimate what we can do in 1 year while we
Mhm.
underestimate what we can do in 10 years.
Mm.
So I went with this. I want to encourage everyone that really broaden your sight, kind of like what you were saying, Khadijah, where you're thinking long term. You're
Right.
thinking long term and you plan. You have a progression and plan to what you're doing, and things build on each other. We were talking about this before so we
Mhm.
started rolling. But I want to encourage my business owners and my family people, my family, my fathers, mothers, to think like that as well. Think in 5, 10, 20-year segments, even 30-year segments, and then think also in progressions. This is leading to this. I'm doing this for this, so I can get this, so I can get this. That's going to lead to this bigger vision. It's one of the main things I talk to my business owners about, thinking in that way, and crafting your life in that manner to reach that big vision.
That's the part I think. Would you agree? Crafting your life, right?
Yes.
Accepting the fact that this is what I want to do with my life. And I'm going to, like you said, have the real conversation with myself. What's it going to take to get me there? Right.
Yeah.
And I'm so in agreement with you about starting business because over 25 years ago, I started business. I was in corporate, like you said, like you, right, forever. And I waited till I got my first contract before I quit. Right. And look,
Nice.
25 years later, I've never had another boss but me. So it works, right? It works. Being intentional is so, guys, if you don't hear anything else from Vernon tonight, understand that intentionality equals success. It is. What would you say has been your most successful move out of everything from homeschooling to world schooling to growing the business? What's one of your most successful moves?
One of the most successful moves, let's see. So in terms of defining success, so I want to define a little bit.
Please.
So thinking in terms of success, like I used to think success, the way we're taught in school and job is kind of a destination. When I get this, certain amount of money, or this destination, like a grade in school, it's a specific thing. What I've learned as a business owner is success is more of a verb and a more of an evolving, continuous thing, especially when we're talking about life. So so when I think of terms of success, I think in terms of to use a little bit of a different terminology, what's producing the most um,
Mhm.
gratifying fruit, or what's generating the most gratifying returns, thinking in business terms, return on investment. And that has to definitely be with my children and my wife. And like you're talking about, the being intentional about that has really paid off. I'm so glad that me and Sakile, and starting with me, thinking about what type of wife I wanted, what type of
Mhm.
situation I wanted to be, and what type of man I wanted to be. Because in order to have the type of wife that I wanted, I needed to be the type of man who she would actually be interested in, and then the type of man who can actually lead a family, who can, do the things that I wanted to do. I needed to be that. So I'm so thankful that that intentionality piece was there, where we said, okay, I actually sat down and said, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to be. This is what I want to create. Okay. Me and Sakila linked up. We hit it off. Things worked out. Thank you. They're grateful for that. And then we were both intentional together, as you mentioned. And so the most successful, gratifying, producing the fruit is definitely the family. The family aspect of me and Sakila's relationship and how we work together over these 25 years now.
Wow.
These these years working together and what we're creating. Through we have our challenges, of course, here or there, but being able to deal with the challenges together. And then seeing our children, as you mentioned, children, mine are about the same, similar age to yours. My youngest is 12.
Mhm.
Then we got a 14, 18. My girls are
Mhm.
20 now. Oldest is 22. So seeing them develop, and getting into the next phases of their lives and going through the different phases, it's just been, I'm so thankful about that piece you're just talking about, being intentional, and then what that has generated in my family life, and then everything else kind of supports that, in terms of
Mhm.
the business and what we're doing there. I'm thankful that that's supporting, but the greatest thing has been the family stuff. Business has
That's so
fluctuations, whatever. I,
impactful.
I appreciate business. It's definitely a good tool, and I appreciate it. But yeah, the family is, you know, definitely my
That's so impactful because I'll be honest with you. I think if you talk to homeschoolers that are business owners, I think they're going to all say that. I think that we don't care. We care about the other things, but our motivation and our goal is our family. That's the
100%.
like we will sacrifice everything we have. You know what I mean, for that. Oh my goodness, that was impactful for me because I thought I was the only one, right? I thought some of the other people I've talked to were only one, but to hear a dad say that,
Yeah.
right? That's deep. That's deep because moms are always thinking, oh, okay, my child is my child, right? They say don't mess with a mother's child
Right,
until you get
right.
over that child, right? Right. But to hear a dad say that the most impactful success was his family. Like, oh, there was a so homeschooling and business, like you said, are byproducts, really, of a successful family. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, yeah, in a sense, yeah, definitely. Byproducts, they are also tools that we try to, our goal is to use them to help our family be successful, you know?
Mhm.
Because of the homeschooling, because of the being in business, and that allows me to have, like I mentioned, the schedule where I can be in my children's lives more than I would have been if I would have stayed in the corporate and worked from. I was leaving the house at like 6 in the morning, getting back at like 6 at night, sometimes later, where I was completely gone. I wasn't like, wasn't no coming home for lunch. I was working far away from home, out in the, on a corporate America. I was working like in these corporate
Mhm.
facilities, like an hour away from the house. So
Mhm.
if I would have kept doing that over the last 20 years and seeing my children, what, an hour a day, maybe longer if they stayed up late like I did. I used to stay up late so I could spend time with my father, and then what impact does that have? So now I'm falling asleep in school the next day,
Right. No,
you
seriously.
know?
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah. So,
Hmm.
yeah. So it's like you said, it's, byproducts of doing that. So it's like what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a positive feedback loop of homeschooling, business, family,
Hmm.
using them to support each other, they're using the business and homeschooling to support the family. But then as we grow our family, then we can do, like you mentioned, that becomes a byproduct of having a healthy homeschooling environment. Now you can do business. My son is getting into business. Actually, all the children are doing little things here and there.
That was
And
my next question.
if things go as planned, according to what the way I would like to do, they'll be homeschooling their children, and this cycle will continue. They'll be in their children's lives and build businesses as well. If that's whatever path is best for them. I'm fine with it. If their path is, just to be clear, if their path is takes them down more of a different career track, I'm fine with that. But what I do want them to do, I'll speak to this real quickly. But what I do want them to do is be investors. They don't necessarily have to be a business owner in the sense that people kind of think about it. So they can be like, one of my sons is really good at engineering. If he does something in engineering and he's working in somewhere and that's his passion, that's what he loves to do, fantastic. But put your money to work.
Okay.
Put your money to work and create assets, whether that's real estate or whether that's investing in, some type of whether it's stocks and bonds or, precious metals, but have some investments, have some other assets going like a real estate or something like that while you're working your business, while you're working your job, so your money is growing and operating. So thinking entrepreneurially in that sense,
Got
as
it.
many ways, as many avenues and paths.
So I guess a dinner table conversation. What are the topics? I can imagine business and investment in stocks and bonds. Am I correct?
Exactly. Exactly. All that and some, because we talk, Afrocentric conversations. We're talking about that. We're talking spirituality. We're talking about the different principles of life and God, and we're talking about that as well. Intentionality, being intentional with I got my young adults now, so we're talking about relationships and
Hmm.
preparing them to be, hopefully, and inshallah, preparing them for motherhood, fatherhood,
Hmm.
and husbands, wives, preparing them for that. Very intentional about that.
Right.
Talking to them about that, like my mother did with us. My
Hmm.
mother drilled certain concepts. I'll share this. I love this one. She drilled, and Sakila is getting ready to join us. But my
Awesome.
mother
Go
drilled
ahead.
into us the proper order because we're Southside Chicago, and she was a nurse. So she saw, and she was in
Mm,
a risk unit too. So she saw
mm,
some of the, most harsh conditions. I'll put it that way. Some of the most harsh conditions for childbirth and motherhood and family, some really tough situations. So she would come home and be very intentional with us, like, you all, look, you, it's the, what did she say? It's the search. She would just repeat this over and over, like, get your dating story, dating, then get engaged, get married, then have your baby and build your family, and she would say, we need more brown babies, have more brown babies.
mm.
Like every
I
day.
love it.
Like,
But it
yes,
was an
ma'am.
order.
Okay,
It was
mom.
an
Yes,
order to
ma'am.
follow,
Right,
though.
right. She's
Don't
like,
get anything out of
have
order.
more brown baby. Right. Take care of your family. Be a good
Right,
man. You're a good
right.
man, Bernie. You're a good man. I was like, yes, ma'am.
Oh, that was
Yes, ma'am.
awesome to hear mommy tell you that.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's powerful.
Yes, definitely.
And
That's what I was
programming you.
wondering. So the children are entrepreneurs then?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they started early on. They've had, even to this point, the 20-year-old, and yeah, at this point, they've had several businesses and they are in that space now as well. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Well, I want to welcome Sakile. How are you?
Good. It's great to see you, Khadijah.
Same here. We pass each other on Facebook, right? But now
Yes,
we get to actually speak.
absolutely. Yes,
So, I have a few minutes with you, and I wanted to just jump in about the homeschool family, right? The husband, wife, the marriage. Let's talk about the reality of it,
yes,
right? I wanted to get into the juicy of homeschooling, running a business, and being married and being around each other
yes,
all the time.
yes, yes, yes.
Sakile, tell me, give me one thing
Mhm.
if you could have it your way perfectly every day that you would do, that you would change about the schedule, the life, anything, just one thing.
One thing I would change? Hmm.
I love the fact that you have to think about it. I love
I
it.
know.
I love it. I love
I
it.
think there's nothing I would want to change. I love everything. There's just some things I would like to do more of.
Ah,
But I think our system is perfect for us. Like we've been doing this, like our relationship for almost 30 years, being parents for over 20 years, 23 years.
by the way,
So
let me stop. And I'm sorry, but if no one has done that, I have to say that for you too. You're world schoolers, you're homeschoolers, you're business owners, right?
yes,
You're online active with your
yeah.
business. That's
Mhm.
not easy. And
Yes,
please,
yes.
so I do want to say congratulations.
Yeah, thank
Definitely.
you. Thank
Definitely.
you. So for me, I don't think it's a matter of changing anything. It's just more. I would love to spend more time with the children. I would love to have more dates with my
Mm,
husband. I would love to travel more. I would love to interact with my audience more. So I love everything about our life. It's just
mm,
matter of maximizing it. And
mhm.
so eventually, maybe bringing in more staff or things like that to do more of the business or having the children do a little bit more so that I can spend more time with them doing the fun things and more family dates and all
Yeah,
of that.
I can imagine. Okay, I want to get into the juicy stuff now. So,
Okay.
kids like to play parents back and forth against each other, right?
Mm.
What is one experience that you both just had to look at each other and laugh? Like they did not just do that. Have you guys had any of those experiences where
Oh, the
you
children.
just
Oh,
you
all the
like,
time. All the time. And I think, like you were just saying, children come into the world very manipulative in a good way. It's just like when they're babies, they cry because they're hungry, but it's like a form of manipulation that, gets under your skin that makes you want to react. Like they're really great salespeople, they're really great at persuasive, and they use their skills to the max.
mhm,
So I really appreciate that. I'm like, ooh, I'm like, I can learn a lot from children and the art of persuasion.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so I think when the children, especially when they were younger, they would try to play us against
Mhm.
each other. So now we're like, what does your dad say? What did your
Um,
mom say? So there's like certain situations I'm like, talk to your dad.
Mm-hmm.
whatever he says. And there's certain situations my husband's like, talk to your mom. So it's just like whatever decision dad or mom makes, that's what it is. And if we don't agree with it, we'll talk about it behind closed doors and be like, "Mm,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really like this because this and this and this." And then we're like, okay, well, we'll do it differently. But like in front of the children, we show a united front.
Okay.
Because children will use that against you. So that's really important, you know?
That's why I asked the question because I
To
have a lot of parents that'll be tuning in, and they do right. They'll ask me like with my kids, and they would bicker. I would say that's a kid problem. Like,
yeah.
no, that's not my business. I have to mind my business, right? So,
Yes, and these are pertinent skills to have, like being able to have conflict resolutions.
mm,
Like, okay, like you try to figure it out. And if it escalates, then come to us and then we can help you, you know? But it's
right, right.
important to start sharing those skills and also for them to see us how we deal with conflict resolution because that impacts how they do it with each other and go out into the world because conflict is going to happen as part of life. But can you deal with it in a healthy way? Can you deal with it in a way that gets you the results or create a win-win scenario or, I mean, yeah, all
Yeah.
of that.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. This was such an
Any
honor.
thoughts?
Oh my gosh. You guys have no clue how honored I am. I'm one of those people I surf social media to
Mm,
find people that I know are of like kind. And when
mm,
I saw you guys, I was like, oh my gosh, that's my life. That's my life. But I don't have the benefit of the world school piece.
mm.
So I will say that you all have motivated me
Nice.
for the world schooling piece, as well as I am directing parents to you all for more information on world schooling. So this is the time now I want you guys to give out all the information. Where can folks find you guys?
Yes. So we are on simple website is embraceyourfree.com.
Okay.
We have a free gift for everyone. Excuse me, your world schooling success guide, world class schooling success guide is embraceyourfree.com/b as in boy /guide GUIDE.
Yes.
That's embraceyourfree.com/b as in boy /guide GUIDE.
Mm-hmm.
And for business owners or prospective business owners, they can reach me directly at vernon@embraceyourfree.com. And I have some special things going on, working on a couple of different things actually for my beginning business owners to help them, and got some things for my business owners who are further along as well, help them with their systems and advise them and helping them to multiply uh, their output, their lead generation, conversion, things like that, helping them to multiply. So we got some different things going on, be it to help our business owners and our homeschoolers and world schools.
Absolutely. And you can also go to embraceyourfree.com if you need assistance with homeschooling. So we have a
Yes.
nice little homeschooling handbook. I'm trying to put the words together. Homeschooling handbook, the homeschooling revolution. So that's also free if you would
Awesome.
like that gift. We
Well,
love
I'm going to tell my audience that if you want to see some firsthand homeschooling, where social media Sekile can they find you? Because you do some awesome videos with the kids. You do.
Oh,
You do. So
thank
where can they
you.
see some of these videos that I've seen?
Yeah, so depending on the audience, you can go to um, facebook.com and
Mhm.
then the at symbol is Sakile dot embrace your free. So
Okay.
everything, Saki-
Sakile.
yes, Sakile
Great.
dot
Even your
embrace your
podcast,
free.
right? I looked it up and I was like, oh, too many of these. I put your name in. So I mentioned that today.
Yes. So we have a podcast called Learning Outside the Box, the Homeschool Chronicles. So you can check that out. We have a couple communities like the Black Homeschoolers Unite. It's 30,000 Black homeschooler families strong. So that's another wonderful way to connect with
On
us
Facebook.
on
Oh,
Facebook.
Yeah,
Hmm.
awesome. Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you so much. This was an honor.
It was an honor too
Yeah,
for us.
I mean,
Thank
to
you. Thank
find your
you.
people and then be able to ask them the questions to share with other folks, because I don't think you guys, well, you know already because you do this all the time, but I think that you have, you two together, your intentionality, believe it or not, has produced things that you can't even imagine. You guys have
Mm.
done such great work. Please keep it up. And I
Mm.
will say Black Homeschoolers United is an awesome Facebook page. I'm on there every day.
Okay.
Every day. So please, please reach out, embrace your free. All of my Mama's Got a Plan customers, you will be seeing Vernon for your online training, because I will be referring my customers after we get our business plans done. They'll be coming to you to build businesses. And then my homeschoolers, Sakile, we have more to talk about later. This is just the beginning. We'll be moving on to things. So I do things long term, as I've told your husband before, and I'm connecting with homeschoolers because we're opening up the world from a realistic perspective. There's a lot of talk around homeschooling out there, but to talk to people that are actually doing it, and I
Hmm.
wanted to make that point about your children being real entrepreneurs.
Yeah, they are.
I want to really
Absolutely.
make that point because it's important that people
Yeah,
know that homeschooling isn't fluff, right?
right.
And running a business while homeschooling isn't either. So
Yeah.
thank you all so much. Anything last, any last minute things you want to say? Anything you want to leave us with?
Yeah. Just I'm looking forward to connecting regarding business and sharing the business services with your community. I have some exciting things for beginning business owners, for folks who are looking to generate, like we talked about, that consistent income.
Mhm.
They're in that beginning phase of the business. Have
Mhm.
some things that I'm rolling out that they can participate in this spring and this summer, and then we'll be putting some things online so they'll have access to it, 24/7 online. So some big things in the works for my beginning phase business owners, whether you're just getting started. We have some things for that as well. We have some things for that on Embrace Your Free. So check out embraceyourfree.com. I beginning business owners. And then, like I said, I'm working to be able to help them to walk through that process of getting consistent income, having a system in place you're gonna be able to create a business that can support you and your family and your dreams of homeschooling, world schooling. So really looking forward to doing that and helping as many families as we can.
Great, great.
Absolutely. And I also want to let people know if you're interested in using the world as your classroom, it's possible. It's closer than you think. It doesn't, you can start off small, like we did, weekend trips and move on to monthly trips for like a week a month or a month a season to just road skill schooling to becoming an expat. I mean, there's so many different ways to world school. So don't just think it's like this exact way. No. You
Mhm.
can do it your way. That's going to support your goals, your dreams, and really bring out your child's genius and have a ton
Mhm.
of fun and learn in a way that will like have a great impact like for a lifetime. So,
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Oh my
Mm.
gosh, thank you.
Yeah.
Audience, thank you so much for joining us at DJ's Cafe. Once again, where we keep it real relevant and rooted in purpose. Thank you for joining us.
For joining us for another episode of DIJAH's Cafe. See you next time, and remember always develop it just as it happens.